Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 169. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
We got some funny numbers today. One, episode 169. Giggity. And happy 420, everybody. And I guess happy Easter as well, because
Oh
it
shit, it is
shares the
420.
day. Yes, it is.
All
Celebrate as you do. We're going to be talking about a bunch of fun stuff this week. As I can find the tab. Where'd the tab go? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Going to be talking about what we played. Going to talk about some market stuff, mainly Magic, a little bit of Pokemon, and then our ever fun economic news to see if the world will still be spinning next week. So,
Always spinning. Always.
as we always start, what we played. Looks like you played more than me.
I did. I played a bunch. A bunch for me, I guess. So I went to Quick Draft because we had talked about it. I guess last time, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, where it's like it changes up when it goes to Quick Draft. It's a little cheaper on the coins and all that stuff. So I did it because it launched this week.
Oh, check your Quick Draft is up.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why I was surprised you didn't do it because you said you always do it when it comes out, and it came out this week. So
I didn't look.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't have time to draft. Me.
Yeah, fair enough. You didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So I got some random comment fed to me via YouTube content that was some sort of drafting expert guy. I don't know. I wish I took note of who it was so I could call him out, but it seemed like a nice dude. Whatever. I watched one video on it. It was talking about Tarkir, the drafting situation, a couple different ways to think about it. It was basically broken down to like 3 parts: the draft part. And thinking about that plan, how to play a little bit, and then like an overall thought on key cards or something like that. I didn't finish the video because the first 2 parts basically covered the things that I didn't understand or was terrible at. One of them was the what do they call it? The flow chart of how to draft
Yeah.
which is basically Boros or a green pile.
Yeah. Yep.
So that helped a little bit. He had a deeper breakdown of that. He basically said like that's like kind of a joke and not that great, but not terrible either. Like if you really don't know what you're doing, it's a good place to start. And then he got into some more detail, which was really useful for me because I am not good at draft generally, and this is a particularly challenging draft format. Even he said so. He's like, yeah, this is a more complex one than usual, and the format is now settling, and the counter to the settling is starting. So, anyways, point being, the 3-color, the 2-color, the bombs, the dragons, the blah blah blah, all the different ways you can do it. It's a little more complex than your standard draft, and of course, I haven't drafted except for our Winstons in a million years. So, I feel a little vindicated that this was a tough draft situation for me. He even being a whatever the platinum tier, whatever the top tier is, drafter. Yeah, Mythic. That's it. Yeah. Him being that was even saying that there's multiple times where he's gone like 1 win and lost because it just didn't come together the way he was hoping. So
there was a Luis Scott Vargas video where he went 0-3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Luis Scott Vargas.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's
all right.
Vindicated for
tricky.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, which I think is an indication, I'm not 100% sure. I saw a Rudy video where he said he's never sold this many play boxes.
Yeah.
So my guess is that this format is exceptionally complex and good, and people are excited to revisit it for a long time because it's exceptionally complex and good, which is awesome. It's great. It's everything I wanted it to be. It's just I suck. And I don't like sucking. So anyways, I went back after watching that video, played some quick draft, ended up in red, blue, green. There was a thing he talked about. Tamir, I think, whatever. I think it's red, blue, white. He said there's a bit of a trick deck in there if you can get the right things because it gets left open a lot. I was originally kind of leaning that direction with starting with some strong blues, ended up with the green stuff because green is kind of your backup 5-color pile with green, and then found some strong reds kind of, I don't know, into first pack essentially. So I ended up in that kind of tri-color situation. I had that card that double your power and then attack with it or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Fight.
yeah.
Yeah, I got 2 of those in that
Gross.
like very quickly. So I was like, yeah, okay, we're going down this path. Anyways, ended up playing.
Yeah,
I
you're
got
learning.
2.
You're learning draft. You're like, oh, I got these cards. We're moving this way.
I guess we're going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was the one thing he brought up. He's like, yeah, you can't. You have to like first 4 cards figured out. Fifth, fourth, and fifth and sixth card kind of see what's happening, like look at what you're getting past, and then
Yeah.
pivot if you have to immediately. And then from there, you kind of go into the decision trees of like the types of things you got. So if you got big dragons, then you want the dragon, you know, orb guy, the blue dragon orb guy. If you got a good green cards, then you might want to do the bigger creatures sort of pile. Like there's a bunch of different things. It was a really good video. Point being, I did draft. I won twice, lost 3 times, obviously, which is pretty good for me because most of them I was 0-3. I think before I got 1-3 was like my best before this, so it helped. And it was fun. And you were right, the quick draft is less pressure because of the lack of a timer.
Yeah.
Like that actually helped a lot. I
Yep.
wish they would. I guess it makes sense, but I kind of wish they would do quick draft either simultaneous for noobs like me that I can like spend time looking at the packs and like actually learning because I didn't study the cards before this, right? So the timer on top of it just kind of is a little frustrating in the
Yeah.
beginning.
And these cards specifically, this set, there's a lot of text on them.
If I had done 3 or 4 quick drafts, which I would have happily paid my coins to, all that stuff, right? And then used my tokens, I guarantee I'd have a very different opinion. I'd be so much happier with this. Why don't they do it that way?
Because
like,
they want you to spend more money when it comes out.
It doesn't make me spend more money. It makes me spend less. I got so
No,
frustrated. I stopped
because
drafting.
you don't just frivolously spend your money.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, they probably have metrics that say it's better, but it really, well, I don't know. Again, this is an advanced draft set.
But also, the
I
rewards for
decided to
quick
jump in
draft
at the
are
worst
less.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, it doesn't hurt them to do that. It's
No.
like a little trainer.
Yeah, I
Like,
do think that they should, the first week it comes out, it should be available in both.
Yeah, and then make it just the premiere or whatever, right? I don't care. Like, make me spend money after I learn the cards, but let me learn the cards through playing as opposed to having to study guides and all this stuff.
Yeah, and
then go in there and then hope I'm.
Oh, I
good
agree.
enough.
I wish it was that way.
It's just, anyways. That was my rant for that. I did play. I had fun, actually, even losing as much as I did. I felt like I actually had a deck. I felt like I actually knew what I was trying to do with the deck. It felt less like a pile of garbage I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on, right?
Nice.
Which was cool. Yeah, so I might go back and do another quick draft or 2. I do have the coins for it because you were totally right, by the way. Just doing your dailies does get you ton of money. I didn't realize. I think I either missed math or something, and I ended up with 15,000 gold by the time the draft came out.
Yeah.
So like, and that was not. I'm not a hardcore arena person. I'm not doing hours a day. Like
that's what I said.
I know. I just when I went through the math, I'm like, how is it even possible?
I think you weren't including like the daily win stuff and.
Yeah, I was missing something because clearly it's possible. Like I spent like a soft effort month on this, and I ended up at 15,000 gold. So, which is 3 quick drafts. So, yeah. Anywho, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I will do some more quick draft, and I might go back and try some of the premiere if they bring it back because I still have those tokens, or if it's still there. I don't know how they do the premiere, like how long that lasts.
It'll come back, and then it'll rotate to other things, and then come back, and then you'll also have them for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I guess it's that we'll have a draft. I might as well, right? That'll be kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. That might determine whether I buy a play box or not. Because I'm not really interested in paying extra for it because it is premium price. But,
it is.
If it's good, and then I'll have some Final Fantasy cards for my collection. I don't know. I'm not sure. Other thing I played, Explorer. Still.
I'll have the boxes. We can Winston it. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Explorer. I'm still on the ladder there. I think I'm gold somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been that for basically this month, I guess. I got there with the mice like right away.
Yeah.
So this Rakdos Prowess deck that I just saw, pretty interesting. Has the mouse package, has some other little combat tricky things in there which are fun, and some bring the mice back stuff. So it's a little more durable against if you didn't make it by turn 5. Yeah. which I think is going to be necessary as we were talking about the angel, the white
Mm-hmm.
angel life gain deck or whatever, definitely like wears out the red mice, straight red mice. So I think the Rakdos one is good. Other reason I did it is because it looks like it's pretty prominent in the power level. And I already had all the mythics, right? Because
Yeah.
I got that Rakdos was like my first deck I bought all the
Right.
pieces too with my what was left of my freebie cards. So because I had all the lands already and all that stuff, it was very easy to pop it in and start playing, and it's pretty good. It's interesting. It's what you expect. It's still basically Mice Go Burr,
Yeah.
but it just has a few extra tricks for recovery from a stall, which is Red's like greatest weakness,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So it's
Cool.
cool, fun, having fun with that.
Cool. I didn't draft this week, but I played a bunch of the mono white standard, and I know it's not super meta, but I have a ton of fun with it, and I like to play solitaire with it and see how many life I can get. And usually it just ends with someone conceding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many scoops do you end up?
A lot. But I ended a game and got a screenshot, sent it to John. 101 life I ended it with. That was fun.
New record.
New record. I got the achievement a while ago with ending it for over 50. And then, but
Oh,
this is the
nice.
first time I broke 100, which I got
Nice.
another achievement for like counters on something
Oh yeah, got it. That's cool.
because the way I had it, it was a bunch of it's a foundations. There's a foundations card and a Bloomberg card. One's a bat, one's a lion, and they both get a +1/+1 counter every time you gain life. And then the bat one, when it dies, you put those +1/+1 counters on another target thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that bat is good.
Yeah. And then there's a rabbit for every time a creature enters play, you gain a life. And then you have the 1/1 flyers that are pinging and healing you that have lifelink. And then the plays 4 copies of the ley line. So every time you heal one more. And if you have over 27 health, you get 2 +1/+1 counters on all your creatures. And there's a Throne of Eldraine's 3-drop. It's a legendary creature. I don't know any of their names. But when you attack, you get +1 health for each attacking creature. And each one of those are different. So they each give a +1 counter before the attack actually goes off
That's
on
gross.
those +1s. It's a nasty deck. Like once it's up, it's super
Yeah.
susceptible to board wipes. But once
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
up,
yeah.
you're done.
That's so very mid-rangey then, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
It's fun. It's a fun deck. But yeah, that's mainly all I played. And then if I needed to play the Boros for different quests, I did that a little bit as well. Or no, it was not Boros. It's just mono red with
But,
Explorer, mouse package.
yeah.
But it's fun. Took a look at some interesting things on the market this morning, and I've been kind of watching them throughout the week based off some news that we'll talk about. But first, obviously, Tarkir, the latest one. We were talking about when it's going to be a $400 box, maybe by the end of the year. We're
Yeah, it's
there.
almost 400.
Yeah, it's $390.
Yeah,
It
I
did to
think I
three.
was underestimating how popular this was, and like the other data point of Rudy selling more play boxes than he's ever sold. Like I underestimated how popular it was. So yeah, I think your prediction of 400 by end of the year, maybe even higher, like 500 to 700 sort of thing.
Yeah,
It can't.
because
It will pull back eventually, right? Because of
yes,
Final Fantasy.
yeah,
But I don't know if it pulls back or just flatlines. You know?
I think it flatlines.
Yeah. I think
Because we're
there's
at
a good chance. Yeah.
yeah, I think just money stops moving into it,
Into it. Yeah, but it doesn't come down.
especially if Final Fantasy starts coming down.
Yeah, that is a question mark that will affect things, isn't it?
Yeah, and then because it's still averaging 75 a day, Tarkir,
The
and they're
collector.
the collector, and there's 162 on the market. So I think it slows. I think sales start to slow down for sure.
Well, I hope it just sells out because I have not opened mine and I'm just gonna sell it. I cannot in good conscience turn away from a 2x, and it's already more than a 2x,
Yeah.
even with fees and everything. So I just can't open it. It makes me sad, but it's okay.
It's okay. We have a bunch of play boxes to open.
I can always buy the singles that I want from all the extra money I make from selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So silly, but whatever.
And the collector box is not the only thing that rebounded. The play box, it's back up to 120 and still selling really strong.
So here's a question for you. Because of the strength of this sale, right, on this play box standard set, and because we just recently heard that they're reprinting Bloomborough, you know, again,
And
standard set.
Yep.
Are we gonna see like a massive second wave of this one because just demand's just out of control? Bloomborough demand was high, but it sounds like maybe not quite as out of control as this.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where this is only our second set with the 30 packs.
True.
But I guess the way reprints would be handled would still be the same.
Probably, yeah. I'm assuming it's basically on throughput, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many units go, no matter the amount of packs and shit, right?
Yeah.
How many units go at X rate, called a month, like at a monthly rate, over so many period of time, right? So they're basically looking at the supply drop as a curve, and they're saying, okay, when it hits this critical 20%, we have to kick off the printers because we know it takes a while to get them back, and we do want it to run out, close to run out of distro, so that it keeps the demand high,
And we
they're
don't see
planning it around that.
and we don't see $80 boxes.
Yeah, exactly. So they're planning it around that kind of concept. Now the question is this selling so fast? Does it continue to sell so fast that they missed the mark by a lot, and so we have like 6 months without boxes or something, right? Which could kill demand. That does happen,
right? Because think about everything else they have to keep up with.
Well, exactly. And since we know Bloomberg's at the printer right now, or basically coming out of the printers right now and moving into distro, because
and Foundations already did.
Yeah, Foundations just did. Rudy's a direct distributor now. He's basically like any other distro. He doesn't get from distro, as far as I know, except for leftover stuff that he just works out special deals. He gets it direct from WotC. So he was talking about it being at the printer. So I'm guessing we'll see it in distro hands within the next 35 days, month, whatever I think he said, for Bloomborough, right? And think about that time scale, how long that has been out at distro. It hasn't been out on the shops, obviously, but it's been out at distro for a while, and it's back, or it's coming back. So what does that look like? I mean, with something this crazy, because this is definitely acting unusual. The demand is way higher than there has been for play boxes.
Yeah, which makes it weird. And also, Bloomborough is probably the last one that the demand was this high.
Was like this, yeah. That's why I'm comparing it to that, and they are reprinting
and
it.
Foundations
so
as well. This will get reprinted, yes, for sure.
It's just a question of how much did they print the first time, and then
how much do they print the second time?
Time do they need? Yeah, exactly.
Because the thing we don't know is this wave of Foundations and this wave of Bloomborough that's hitting. How long does that last?
It's a good question.
Because they're not the new hot set anymore.
Yeah.
So that is going against it.
But they do want it to stay on shelves for a couple years, right? Because it's standard.
Correct. So maybe it stays at that flatline price.
Yeah.
But we have the next two sets we're going to talk about. We'll probably bounce back and forth. But this is how I'm kind of expecting these play boxes to be. So we had Lord of the Rings. Well, I can't say that because these are both acting differently, but they're similar but different products. So we'll get into it. Lord of the Rings and Wilds of Eldraine, specifically their set boxes. So if you take a look at Wilds of Eldraine, they just announced the reprint of the set boxes. It was for a while. Let's say mid-March to now, it's been a $200 set box. This news came out. We're now at $150. So it dropped $50
on the news.
But the news.
Print isn't here yet.
Right.
So does it go lower, or does it come back up and then dip a little bit?
or it flatline. I think it dips a little bit, gets to that 130, and then flatlines there until the reprint's gone, and then. But it's just how big is the reprint and how long does it last?
And like 130 is not a bad place.
No,
Like
for a set box.
That's actually a really that's a really.
The thing is,
nice price.
Our format, our game carrying format standard, it's rotating out of standard though.
Well, that's okay. The set box isn't even like
a little bit of a joke there.
standard compatible, right?
But yeah. But then the other thing to note, this is where these two sets are similar in their draft boxes. So Wilds of Eldraine, it's at 140, the draft box. So there's not really much and we're not hearing about reprints of draft. We're just hearing about reprints of set for both Wilds and Lord of the Rings.
So we're looking at going forward, and it's hard to say because it's such a different, like Wilds of Eldraine, such a different era, right? It was
right, that's what I'm saying.
Play, like it was before a bunch of stuff, but if we're trying to make it seem similar, which isn't really fair, but let's say we are we looking at 150 play boxes kind of going forward on good sets, and then like 110, 120 on the less good sets?
No, I'm thinking 120, 130 on the good sets, and 100 and sub 100 on the bad sets for play boxes.
But Wilds of Eldraine's already at 150, and they're not reprinting it, so it's going to go up from there, right?
Yeah, but these are while in rotation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like the difference with Wilds of Eldraine is it's out of print now.
Yeah.
So there's more, like sealed collectors are more incentivized to grab that stuff because they know more's not coming.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so Wilds is basically representing this newer era of higher demand stuff, lower print runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's a slightly different structure because it's a drafted set.
Yeah.
So lower print run, period. And now this is a full cycle of it in standard because it's about to go out of standard, right?
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is 150 kind of a safe bet for the good ones that are in standard? For the draft boxes, or play in this case, going forward, or I guess
for the 36 pack ones, yes.
Yeah.
But for the 36 pack ones
per pack,
I was speaking just moving forward because we were talking about moving forward, and we're doing the 30 packs moving forward. That's where I was thinking. The 36 packs, yes, I do think the good ones like Bloomburrow and Foundations will stay around that 150. With the reprint, I think it'll dip. It'll come down. Stores will want to move it as quickly as possible, and then once that's dried up enough, I think they'll settle around 150. The good ones. Like we're even starting to see how much do you think a Murder for Karlov Manor play boxes?
So a good set at 30 packs. Like if we're saying Wilds of Eldraine is a good example of the kind of the value the market puts on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you break it down to packs and then you say 30 packs, it's 116 would be the equivalent of 140. So that would be the good sets. And then the bad sets would be sub 100, you're saying?
For the 30 pack? Yeah.
Yeah. For going forward, yeah.
Yeah, because like Aether Drift is a sub 100.
Isn't Aether Drift at 30?
Yeah.
Or is it 36?
It's 30.
Okay.
I don't see the 36 pack play boosters, and with that the draft boosters going sub 100. Even the bad ones. Because like Murders of Karlov Manor is $120.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Like even the hat sets, like what is it? Where's Outlaws of Thunder Junction's 136.
I didn't like that set, but wasn't that one considered good?
It's a hat set, so people don't like it, but it has some good strong cards in it.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but
then Duskmourn's at 118, so that 120.
Yeah, so OTJ is higher, like is considered better by the market essentially.
Yeah, and I mean we can look at Foundation's play because that has hit the market. It dipped from 150 down to 130, so it dropped to $20.
Is that That's 36 too, as well.
Yeah, it's 36.
Is that staying 36
Yep.
going forward?
Yep, the only
That's
30s.
also freaking weird.
Yeah.
So it'll be 36 for 5 years when the
Mhm.
play boxes are down to 20 packs.
Yep.
Because they'll just keep reducing the number of packs.
Yeah.
No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, by the end of Foundations, we'll have 36
Yeah.
pack Foundations boxes and 24 pack
16 packs in a
16.
box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So the premiums 120s and the lame ones will be under. I don't think we'll see 89 ever again.
No. I mean, that's where we're at with Aether Drift, though. So.
Yeah,
And
but
those have
how
a
long
box
will it
stopper.
stay there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I guess it depends on how many they printed.
Yeah. Because if they are doing these smaller print runs, even with the play, and then just reprinting it when need be, I think it's a smart move because then you basically get rid of product just sitting, but then you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, it has a downside potential, but the reality is it works out in most cases because you manage demand instead of getting a bad reputation.
Yeah.
The downside is if things get crazy in a positive way, which I just don't think WotC and their economics people, because they have several, their economists are sitting there and saying, yeah, the next 2 years look grand for premium cardboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're playing defensive and wisely so, considering.
Yeah. So we had, remember I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, we were looking at Magazine Exchange and they had pre-orders up for Lord of the Rings set that was going to come back in April.
Mhm.
I'm starting to see stores listed again. Like Stomping Grounds has it for 170, which is tempting because the set on TCG Player is at 209, but I'm expecting that'll drop. I think the drop hasn't happened yet, so I'm keeping my eye on it there. Because 170 is still pretty high compared to store cost. Like there's room to drop there
If it gets overloaded in the market.
Yeah, and especially with like how many people are looking at Lord of the Rings set right now.
I was about to say it's probably. If I were WotC, I would print the hell out of this before their license is up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like why not soak every last penny out of Lord of the Rings fandom?
Exactly. But again, the set boxes are in stock, but the draft boxes are starting to not be in stock. So like I looked at the distro list. There's the back order of set. There's no draft available.
That actually makes sense from a general gameplay standpoint, though, because the set has the more bombs, which is really what people end up wanting after.
And it has the commander cards. You can get the commander cards in there too. You can't get them in the draft.
Got it. Yeah, then that's absolutely the way that's the long-term product,
yeah.
Right? Because it's like singles after play has been played, you know?
Yep.
Interesting. I wonder. Well,
but then
I guess because we don't have set anymore, we won't have that. So they combined it so the drafts can have a longer life.
Yes.
Huh. Yeah.
But it also puts more pressure on the commander decks and the collector boosters because you can't get commander cards in the play boosters.
What are the commander cards? I'm trying to think.
Like the commander set. Like the commander symbol ones.
I know, but what were they? Were they any good? Only things I remember is Orcish, the
Orcish, Bowmaster, and the One Ring are in the main set. The heaviest, the most expensive cards are in the draft boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm not sure that matters actually now.
No. But I'm just saying it's moving forward without set boxes. What?
Do they have serialized? Those are only collectors.
Those are only collectors.
Okay.
But moving forward in these newer sets with the play boxes, you can't get commander cards in them. So those sets, if there are commander bomb cards that are the more expensive cards in the set, which they don't typically tend to be, because then that means that they're included in like a guaranteed precon, right? So
Is that actually how that works?
What?
That all of the commander cards
Or in the precons.
are absolutely in the precons. That is how that works.
Mhm.
I never actually checked on that. If
Yeah.
if they just had a set that's commander labeled, but not necessarily.
I don't think so. I'm
all of
pretty
it.
sure it's all
Because
just
the precons only have like 10 new cards typically. I don't know
right.
about Lord of the Rings,
But like Lord of the Rings
typically
has renamed ones and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's so then the sets that have 2 commander decks is only 20 cards are the commander set, quote unquote. Is that
Yeah, they are
accurate?
small. They are smaller sets.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't like I said, I never looked into actually
Yeah.
the full set of what counts as the commander cards. I've never bothered to actually look into that. I should have.
It's an interesting thing going to be moving forward without access to cheaper packs with those cards in them.
Yeah. It's okay. We all know the commander staples are in the main set.
Yeah.
That's how they sell the main set.
But it's just one of those things where, like, if there was enough printed of the set, we could have an inverse where the draft is more. But I mean, the draft is not selling that much. It's averaging 1 a day.
Yeah, I suspect that what I described is the case is that after the play format of draft has gotten boring, those boxes just slow down to a crawl, which is why they combine set and draft. They probably saw this through all the history of set and draft. That set continued to sell for a while because you get the higher value cards, the higher rarity cards,
and it's cheaper and easier for them to print because it's less packs.
And you get less bulk. Like, think about it. If you want to bulk open to hopefully get your cool cards, like set is the answer.
Correct.
And so that's why they combined them. They basically, I think that was the thought process there. It makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll just be interesting to see what these draft boxes do with the sets being reprinted and the draft.
I can't believe they're reprinting set. I mean, I can for Lord of the Rings. Totally makes sense. For Wilds of Eldraine, that is, to me, that's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they obviously saw monies on the table with the draft boxes going up, and after that being announced is out of print.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear. Like, it's a money move that makes sense. It's just going that far back to reprint set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Especially when you're probably printing a ton of Final Fantasy. You're printing. I mean, you have to catch up on Tarkir now. You just caught up on Foundations and Bloomburrow. How long does that supply last? OTJ seems to be creeping out of stock, so that's why you have those boxes rising. I don't know. Play boxes are a lot more interesting to watch, and I'm really glad they are than draft and set were a couple years ago.
Yeah. The era of everything was overprinted was quite boring.
Yeah.
So Final Fantasy prices have come down.
Mm-hmm.
Still in pre-sale.
It's in
Play
June.
box went from 230.
We have all of May.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing coming out, right, in between?
No.
Yeah, Tarkir was the last one until 500. I mean, I think it's probably for the best.
Yes.
But so this is where I'm like, does Tarkir come down? Because do stores start to feel, financial pressure, and so they start like mass selling stuff? I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. Especially if Final Fantasy starts scaring the shit out of them. Like, say they all put in these huge orders and they get them, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm getting all of these boxes."
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm cash strapped, and maybe I need to dump this Tarkir stuff that seems to be hot. So I'm curious how that plays out over the next boring month, which is what's going to happen, because the doldrums is where the market stuff starts to happen. It's like boring, and people are like, "Uh-oh, I still have to pay for my, store rent or whatever."
Yep.
Even though nothing has sold this month. But yeah, Final Fantasy's come down. The play boxes from 230 down to like 150 now. I imagine that's the floor at least for a while, but geez, who knows?
Yeah, you can find them cheaper on other places. Like 140, 139 seems to be the common non-TCG player deal
and
site.
Then you click it
price.
And you get shipping and taxes and all this.
Nope.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Most of the stores, that's how it goes.
The one I got, I did Game Nerds. I think it was 144 a box. No shipping, no tax.
So that's $6 cheaper, not $20 cheaper like you were.
No, the 140 I missed. That was Stomping Grounds.
Okay.
And a couple other sites have put that up but I already have my one case. So
so maybe it does keep drifting down. I don't know. We'll see on that.
the lowest I've seen
How
is
low can that go
135.
though? Yeah, I was gonna say, how low can that go? Because it's a premium cost to stores.
Yeah.
So it really
There
can't go much
was
lower than the 130s.
there was a Reddit post on, I think it was Sealed, MTG Sealed or something, where a store is starting their online selling. It is a brick and mortar store though, and so they put it up trying to gain customers. They put it up to 135 and showed the receipts of like basically they're just breaking even on these.
Yeah, it
So
can't really go below that if
it
they want to
can't.
make money.
So 135 I think is like the floor before stores start losing money.
That's kind of scary. That's already at 150 TCG player, and it's a month
There's
and a
a
half out.
there's a
Like, there's a
lot of
lot of
this.
down. Yeah, there's a
And
lot of
they also
downward room
said,
on this.
so they sold out, right? So they sold out at that 135 price. They went back to their distributor, asked if they could get more, got approved for more, and then listed that again.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's still open order at distro.
I really hope this is not distro fucking around and causing trouble. Like, if this ends up being a shit show because distro basically said yes to all these people and then they all listed it because they're trying to sell on the hype, which totally that's what a store should do, and then distro ends up coming back and saying, oh, sorry, we have to allocate less to you.
It'll be, so this whole playbox reprint thing that we were talking about, it's going to be real interesting what happens with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, this is going to be a weird one.
So like what happened, how fast does that get back to the printers? And what sets don't get pushed to the printers because Final Fantasy is taking up too much time on the printers?
Yeah. And what happens if we start to see some of this economic headwind come into play?
Correct.
Like, because that's June, right? Like, sell in May, go away. Guess what? That's a thing in all financial markets. You basically get out of your market positions or in your locked long-term positions, and then you go on vacation for 3 months. You don't go on vacation, but you get my point. You don't bother with the market for 3 months until August, end of August. That's a thing. It is a downturn in most markets. It's a quiet time in most markets, and Final Fantasy, with all this craziness and hype happening at a point where it might end up being a financially tricky period, because if everyone's in a what's a historically normal quiet mode in the markets, and then we start getting weird tariff headwinds or supply chain shocks or trade war stuff, whatever, right? Any of the macro stuff starts actually hitting the core market, then that stuff's going to crack real fast during the summer. It's kind of its weakest period. So if that starts to happen, starts impacting jobs and all the rest, then you might see some real interesting fireworks around poor Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy Playbox is sold out on Amazon and consistently sell out at 209. So, yeah, because that's the
I don't
MSRP.
know if that counts.
Does it?
Amazon, because they'll put up 5 boxes, sell out. Put up 5 boxes, sell. Like they play games with their supply. It's not a very good representation of what the supply looks like.
No, I know that.
Yeah, I'd just be careful. Like, don't count that as too much. I feel like they do that it's very engineered so they sell out to create an artificial scarcity. Because I've seen it happen multiple times.
Yeah.
I bought the last 3 and then watched it come back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And things like that. Did want to touch on the collector box of Final Fantasy, though. You know, kind of 685, 700 range at the peak, down to the 600 range right now. It does seem to have stabilized here. As it hit that 600 range, there's a spike in buys. But boy, with a month and a half left, how low does it go?
I could see it break sub 500.
I could too, which is shocking for Final Fantasy. I never would have thought that.
I mean, it's still pretty high above store cost, so people are still making money on it.
Well, and again, they printed more than Tarkir. So what does that do? This is silly.
I know.
Could you imagine them printing more Lord of the more Lord of the Rings than, whatever the other normal standard sets were by like that much, where it like tanks the price, it inverses the value?
I mean, that's what happened with the special collectors. They did go down at the beginning.
That was a weird situation, though. because that was well, I guess the first one was unprecedented too, because
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is such a big IP. Are they gonna do a Final Fantasy Holiday Edition?
We don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
I sure hope not. Oh, this is gonna be weird. This is a strange year. Lots of product translations into new products. Lots
Mhm.
of old lessons don't matter because new things have happened, like
Constant
quantities,
confusion.
whatever. Yeah, this is a very strange year.
That's why like references were going back to set and draft, and then we had the 30. Like even we got confused between talking about 36 packs and 30 packs, and like
Yeah,
that's a
I mean
difference.
it's gonna be a thing constantly, right? Was it the first 3 sets of the play boxes are 36, and then after that it's 30.
No, I was Murders, Outlaws, Dustmorn,
Foundation
Foundations,
or I guess if you count foundations, which kind of shouldn't, but whatever.
Innistrad, Remastered.
Innistrad wasn't a play box.
Yeah, it was
Oh wait. No. Standard.
standard. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Then
we're
no.
talking about within the standard rotation. That was the
Yes,
concept.
yeah, because also Modern Horizons, but also not standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that's an interesting box.
Yeah, those specialty like those side sets, I always enjoy them. Typically, I've made money on them in various forms, and I've enjoyed the products, but uh, I don't know how that plays going forward.
Yeah.
MH3 versus MH2. MH2 was way overprinted.
Yeah. I think all the Modern Horizons are.
MH3, yeah, probably because they want Modern to keep going at this slow pace, and that's
It's
their
it's
product for the
the
3 years or 2 year cycle.
yeah, it's the reset button on
It
Modern.
is, and then they have a side product like Lord of the Rings printed for
Mhm.
Modern, that helps kind of shift up the meta in that off year that is typical. So it's a fun little area.
We don't have
but it's a
anything this year for it.
small area. Um, is there really no product that's a Modern?
Nope.
That is.
I mean, technically Innistrad Remastered, sure, but
Oh yeah, that's right. That was right.
it is Modern. Yeah, but
Yeah, that was Modern compatible, right?
yeah,
I think it was. Yeah, so that was the one. That's how it usually is. It's
but
like a
there's usually one
remaster or
remastered set.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like some sort of like weird side product.
yeah. But that was like at the very January, and then we
Yeah, I
haven't had
know.
it.
And it's like, yeah, we won't have another. Well, I guess it depends on when they do Modern Horizons 4. Is that
Yeah.
next year?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, there was more time between 2 and 3. There was a long time.
It was only 2 years or 3 years maybe.
What?
And yeah. Because I got that at the beginning of this. I still have a ton of Modern Horizons 2. I bought so many Modern Horizon 2 boxes.
2021, June 2021.
Yeah. And guess what year it is?
2025.
That's a 4-year cycle, and we had another Modern Horizons product since then. So that's what, every other year, every 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said 2 or 3
Oh,
years. And
yeah.
then you had the Modern
'cause
compatible remastered
then
sets in between. The
June
Ravnica
2024.
remastered,
Yeah.
and what was the other remastered that I liked?
Dominaria.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is that cycle. Like I said, I've made good money on those because people don't really pay attention to it because it is smaller. It is a smaller market, so
Yeah.
you can get stuck. But I always liked the card, so I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Except for the Innistrad one, I did not enjoy that one, so less excited now. And everyone's saying they basically have abandoned Modern, which I feel like there is some evidence of that. It's not completely abandoned, but they're definitely not giving it the love they have in those few years.
They're pushing standard.
Yeah, well, exactly. They're focused elsewhere in the game,
Yeah.
so which is fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought there's some interesting things happening with reprints and old stuff and new stuff and
Yeah, the reprint variable's crazy sauce.
yeah. Yeah. But we still know they've never reprinted the collector, so
Yeah, I don't think they will.
No.
I really doubt they'll make that mistake at this point.
no. It is interesting to watch. I am interested to watch the Aether Drift collectors though.
Do you happen to have the distro tabs up?
Yep.
Can you check to see if Tarkir came back at all yet? Because they usually do a wave for release and then a wave post release.
There is play boxes are open order at 1, 2,
Is there collectors on there?
Collectors are not on there.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I was curious because the demand was so high. I think they literally actually sold it all.
I think so.
Yeah. Because usually they have that release and then they're like, okay, it's not available. Then after release day, it's available again for like a day, like a very short period, but it usually is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 distros that have play. They're both on open and they're both, I mean, Rudy's the floor, right? So.
Yeah.
But they also have Tarkir land station, which I'm really mad I just bought a land station if there's a cool Tarkir one.
Okay. I don't even know what that is.
You know that like thing that holds all the lands and it's colored that I just got? I think we only used it once to draft.
Gotcha.
But
and they have one that's cool dragon themed.
Yeah. 80 lands of each color.
Oh, that's cool. Are they the full art ones?
Not seeing it.
That would be cool.
It just says 80 planes, 80 of each.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it was not the fancy ones with the eyeball, but
it says the land station contains 400 beautiful non-foil basic land cards from Foundations Jumpstart 2025. Then why is it called Tarkir?
Such a ripoff. See, you didn't make a mistake at all.
Nope, I'm fine. And mine was cheaper because it didn't come with the lands, and I already had the lands.
And it also wasn't labeled Tarkir to make extra money, because what the hell?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's so funny. That's so funny. Anyways.
I don't know. I think it's cool. Like when you're drafting, you just set it down, and then it's clear where the lands are. And
yeah, it is. It's a great.
I like went through all my bulk and like pulled out my favorite lands and put it in there, and I don't know. So it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, I have a lands box. It's all my full arts from all the different sets and collector boxes and stuff. I just put full arts in there, and then like whatever fancy weird stuff I might have, because there are a few. I'm trying to think like what a good example of that is, but basically it's just all full arts plus a few, I think, special foil treatments or something that look good enough for me to want to put it in there. But basically none of them look like the standard picture window lands.
Right.
They all look like something special.
Yeah. Yeah, the only collector
1,000 cards.
The collectors available at distro right now are Aether Drift. They're limited to 1 case.
Okay, so that's running out.
Tarkir or Outlaws, but you have to buy a master case. Karlov, but you have to buy a master case. And then another distro, same thing. You can buy 6s of Karlov and O2J. March the Machine is still available at 1. That can't
not
be right.
Long. Well, it's also possible it's not up to date.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like the 3rd or 4th distro, they don't update that very often.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, because they're saying it's about to go bust on markets. Like you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
Go bust is the wrong term. You're gonna see it go up because it's running out across the board.
Yeah, I'm glad I picked some of those up.
I like that one. I opened, I don't know, more than a few collector boxes of it because it has some cool stuff in it.
Yeah, the market price
had all the. Sorry, go ahead.
Market price hasn't caught up, but it looks like there's been some movement on it that's pushed it over 300.
Yeah, it's not gonna do like a crazy jump right away, but it's at the point like it's about to happen.
There's 25 on the market.
That's what I mean. It's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it has cool stuff in it, including serialized cards.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got all those cool art versions too. That's why I liked it, because it's like every box, like every time you open a box, you got some really neat treatments of really cool cards. Yeah. It always felt like something fun and new. Some boxes, it feels like you're opening the same 5 cards again and again. It was always, every freaking box felt good. I think I opened like 3 or 4 because I was really hoping to get one of those serialized like Boring Clax or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe not Boring Clax. That might be in a different set. I think that was.
I think he's in there. I think he's the multiverse. It's a subset. The multiverse subset.
Yeah, it's the subset. That's what makes it fun. Yeah. That multiverse set makes it real fun.
But cool. Anything else on Magic before we move to Pokemon?
Yeah. On to Pokemon.
I beat the Teal Mask DLC on Scarlet, so now I'm on to the Indigo disc, and it seems pretty cool.
Those are some words.
Yeah.
I understand some of them.
So I guess the DLC came out. You buy the DLC once, but it came out in like 2 chunks, and you go both of them because you're a student in this one, so you're going like a journey abroad kind of thing, and so you go to different islands. And the second one, it's like oh shoot, now I'm gonna be a bad Star Wars nerd. What's the planet, the water planet where the clones are made?
Oh, I don't remember, so it's fine.
Geonosis? No. That's where the battle was. That water planet where there's just like a silo and you land on it, and then that's where all the clones are being made.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that. Like when you get to the island, it looked just like that. And then you go down underneath, and then there's a terrarium under the water, and then it's split into different quadrants, like a desert area and a snow area, and it's really cool. It's obviously all man-made, but and fictional because it's Pokemon, but it was super fun, super interesting.
I was convinced we were going to a real place here, Ty. I like how you call that. It's fictional.
It's fictional. It's Pokemon.
Guys, in case you don't know,
yeah.
pocket monsters.
Yeah,
they're not real, guys.
True.
Sorry.
But
it's fun.
I basically got through all the intro story there, and it opened up into this thing where you can go do a bunch of quests, and then they just repeat. And then every X amount, I think it's like every 4th one you complete, you get extra stuff. And you can do it multiplayer, which is really cool that they actually have an end game that encourages multiplayer. So it's like once you and your friends get to the end, you can run around and do these quests together. Which seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever played a Pokemon game multiplayer like that, but
really,
they tried to do it with Sword and Shield.
Your wife would have done that if that was possible.
Oh, we did. It's just it wasn't. So we did. It's been available throughout all of Scarlet and Violet. It was just there wasn't really much to do, and it's just like, oh, you saw each other there, but you were having battles independently. You were having everything independently. You weren't really like playing together. You could just see each other. But this is you like have a common goal to work towards together, which is kind of cool.
It sounds like you got ripped off before, and they're finally adding a feature that everyone.
Well, it also gives me hope for the new one that's coming out.
All right, side rant here related to exactly that though. So relevant that I have to bring it up. I've been playing Monster Hunter Wilds with my buddy, and we've played this game for like 10 years on and off, like different versions, right?
Yeah.
There's probably 4 or 5 different versions of it. It's been going forever. It's been a highly played game the whole time. It's not like one that dies off after 2 months and no one plays it. Like it's very popular with the like grindy crowd, right? Very Japanese grind game style, right? So lots of menus and little things you can tweak, etc. They still can't get multiplayer to work right, and it's a multiplayer game. God damn it! Like you hunt monsters with other people, but you can't do the main storyline with your buddy easily. It breaks all the time. We tried it twice yesterday. This is just so relevant. I had to bring it up. Tried it twice yesterday, and it bugged out so that one of our 2 monsters, because we ended up separate, we couldn't do it together because it doesn't work right. Even though it's supposed to, we did what we were supposed to. It didn't work. And one of our monsters basically became invulnerable. And these are hard monsters to kill, so like it takes a long time before you realize you're not doing anything to it.
Yeah.
He was fighting this boss for like, I don't know, it was a better part of an hour. He's like, I'm getting kind of frustrated. And he did it. I had the same thing happen earlier, but it was a dumber monster, so I was getting really pissed. And then he had it happen on the big boss, so of course he waited longer before he realized that. So 10 years they've been putting this out and they still can't figure out how to do multiplayer. And
that's annoying.
It's a multiplayer game. Like it's a game where you go in with a party of people and fight a monster. Like that's what you do.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry. It's relevant to Pokemon.
That's okay. But yeah, so enjoying that still. And then just a quick talk on the cards. Destined Rivals pre-orders are up. Comes out end of May. They're currently at $320, selling 52 a day. It's silly.
Yeah.
That is very silly.
Pokemon's not leveling out.
No.
It's not calming down.
Journey Together is. You can get a Journey Together box for $215 plus tax and shipping.
Is that one out yet, like fully?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
We're
I
gonna get
couldn't
those spin out.
remember which one was the recent one.
Yeah, but MSRP is 161. So like, and Pokemon will reprint these boxes. They will come out. The question on Journey Together though is with the reprint, did they reprint the enhanced booster boxes or did they reprint the regular boxes? That's the question
That's a
there.
question. That is a question. So Rip and Ship has basically distorted the Pokemon market beyond all recognition.
Sure.
Yeah, that was your theory earlier in the year.
Yeah, no, it's still a big change.
Yeah.
Because just think about it, right? Like it's just a whole new pillar of a way to engage in the hobby that hasn't been accounted for and print runs haven't been adjusted for.
Even when they reprint, it just doesn't do anything to the price, really.
Right. Right. Especially for hot sets. What needs to happen is there needs to be a slowdown in purchases for graded cards.
Well,
Because the rip and ship community and the collectors, and the reason the boxes stay high is because of the price of the singles.
the graded singles?
The graded singles.
To do with it, I guess, is okay.
Graded. Because it's one of those things where just the raw card doesn't even make. There are times where you look at it and then you're like, this doesn't make sense because even the raw card, the best pull in the set, it isn't worth the price of the box. But
I'm so confused.
It's like so degenerately down the hole of gambling.
Who's buying it though? Because ultimately, it's all supported by that end buyer, the person who loves it and holds onto it and pays a premium, right?
Yeah.
So who is buying all these graded cards?
That's my question.
Who's that person?
Right.
Because when their economic situation gets affected, the rest of this collapses.
Yes.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Because that's what the price value, all that stuff is based on.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're gambling and opening a pack. You're paying for a pack to hopefully pull something expensive. And then you're hoping that something expensive was printed properly and grades a 10. And then you pay an additional cost. So basically you're gambling again to hope to get to that grade. And if you don't get to that grade, it's a wash. If you get like an 8 or a 9.
Historically, I know who was buying like the fancy magic cards and stuff like that, right? It was nerds, government workers that got paid well, programmers who got paid well, right? Both of those classes of individuals that get paid well, middle class, but have spare cash for that sort of stuff, right? They're now unemployed. Not legitimately, but definitely less employed, right?
Yeah.
Between AI and everything else, like those are both in down market. It's difficult for people to find jobs in this space, right? So who is the Pokemon version, right? The next generation, because historically, again, that was like the old guys like me, sort of thing. So the next generation is now coming into the early peak of their career, right? Mm-hmm. They're the Pokemon fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what are they doing? Because they're not programming and they're not government jobs, right? Those are the main gamers I knew before. Now I'm like, who are these people that still have good paying jobs and what are they doing with their life?
They work at a bank. We met one of them.
They work at a bank. I guess that's true, but that guy is not making enough money to buy graded Pokemon.
Correct.
Because that's just a retail guy, right?
Correct.
Like, those don't make big money. It's got to be a big money job that's supporting this. It's an industry, right? It's got to be a whole bunch of people that are similarly minded. Who are they?
It's all the card
Where
show.
Do they work?
Maybe it's the card show people.
Card show people?
Yeah, like have you've not ventured down the Pokemon card show rabbit hole on YouTube?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's I've watched enough Pokemon stuff on YouTube that it gets fed to me all the time now. Card shows are real big.
This is like the conventions?
Yeah, but like
where they sell cards,
just local ones. It's like a mini Comic-Con, but just
but that's
for cards.
again, that's an industry supported by the people doing the buying. So who's doing the buying?
I think it's such a popular IP. There's a constant influx of new uneducated people that keep it propped up.
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It has to be
No,
some
it's my
stable
only. It's my.
purchasing. Yeah. Who's the people
It's
that buy? If you guys know, please leave a comment.
because
Let me
I
know.
yeah
Who that buys graded Pokemon? Who the hell are they? What do they do for a living?
yeah because I don't
That's
have
where it
that.
all ends. That's the whole gamble is to get to that buyer.
Yeah
And the question is, who's paying the $10,000 or whatever? I don't know what they charge for these.
yeah
A lot of money for one card in a slab.
yeah.
Who does that purchase? I want to know. What do they do for a living? Anyways, sorry.
I don't
Rant.
have that answer, and that
Yeah,
is
I'm
my.
just
I
curious
have
because
that
the
same
whole thing's
question.
based on that. So that
Yeah
will determine, like, if it's, say it's all finance people, like Wall Street people, right? I don't know. I'm making this up, but say it
yeah
is, then you'll know when you have Wall Street layoffs and stuff that this will start affecting this market. So who is the people and how, how vulnerable are they to economic changes? I don't know. I don't know any of these answers.
yeah
Very curious.
yeah. It's just so much degenerate gambling in Pokemon. It's
It's
crazy.
so much money.
Like
How?
even
It's so much
GameStop is
money.
getting into the degenerateness.
I know. That's okay. So Rudy put out a video. I don't know if it was today, yesterday, whatever. I listened to it this morning. He was like, "Yeah, now you're in the later part of the video. I know most people have clicked off. So when every Barnes and Noble and something or another has a booster box or whatever on the retail, you know it's in a bad spot. Like it's about to get crazy
Yeah.
because basically everyone is buying even though they are not card people
Yes.
because it keeps going up and they're just throwing it out there because it sells and they're making money on it. And it's like he's like that's like the end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like when your car repairman has a booster pack there for sale.
Yep. Yep.
It's like you're starting to see that happen. Oh God.
Yeah. I'm glad I moved out when I did.
Well, that's why I'm
Everything's
just
gone.
curious how long it goes because it always goes longer than you think. And then who's that person? Like basically what I really want to know is when do I sell my battle styles?
I mean, if it's 2x, probably now.
I don't think it's 2x yet.
Yeah.
I got it at that previous price and it has moved up, but I don't think it's
145.
2x. Yeah, I don't think it's that.
No.
Yeah, that it wasn't. It was like I don't know, the 110 or whatever it was. I don't know what the price used to be.
145.
The market price was
Oh
145?
no,
It was way back.
It was as low as 80.
No, but that was like off of. Remember, I got it from Pokemon Center.
I know. That's why I said 145.
That was the price.
Yeah.
On Pokemon, I don't think that's what I paid for it.
145 a box.
Yeah, I don't think so. Is that what it was for the old set?
It's like 144 and change. Yeah.
MSRP?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
The old sets?
Yes. You should be able to still see them.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Let's see. No, that's not. Oh God, too many things. I buy too many cards, people. Anyways, on to the next topic. Oh, it's 143.
Yeah.
So you're close.
Yeah.
What's it now? Did it go up?
Ever since I sold my stuff, I don't look at them.
49 for a booster box. That's what TCG player says.
175? Yeah. Or 184. Yeah.
It's like 183. Yeah.
So you're up.
So a little up, but not up much. Yeah. It definitely did not 2x.
No.
I don't know why you said that.
No, I said if it. I asked if it did.
Yeah, but that's a silly if.
Well, it probably isn't. It isn't.
Anyways. So, you want to talk about Switch?
Yeah. I'm excited the prices didn't go up because of the tariffs on the device itself. But on the accessories, they did.
So, how does that work? You already paid for it, right? You pre-ordered
No.
it? Oh, okay.
Because they canceled the pre-order day.
Mm.
They were like, pre-orders will be April 9th. And I was like, sweet, I'll be there. Because you have to have, and what I really do like how they did it, in that if you want to, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll get one, because if you can order through their website and it checks your Nintendo account first access is to the people who have over 50 hours logged in the past 2 years on their Switch.
Fuck. This is a
So,
crazy thing. Go ahead.
but I mean, it'll be available at midnight on Amazon and Walmart and all the normal Best Buy, those places. Which I may end up
How do you know
doing.
it hasn't gone up because of tariffs?
What?
How do you know the price has not gone up because of tariffs?
They released a statement that of the new release date and that the prices weren't increasing, but on the bundles or on the.
Where are you buying it from, though?
It's just. What do you mean?
What store did you purchase it from?
I haven't purchased it. It's not available.
Well, are you planning to purchase it from?
I was gonna first try Amazon because I have the 5% back. And they don't charge until it actually comes out. And yeah.
Okay. So you don't know if there's going to be tariffs then? Because
no, like
Nintendo can say we're not going to charge tariffs, but guess what? They don't actually control that. It gets charged when it hits the U.S.
No, they didn't say that they're not going to. They confirmed what the MSRP is going to be.
Oh, okay. So you might still get tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you like Amazon orders 1,000 of them, right? They show up, they pay this huge bill on tariffs, then they're going to increase the price at the purchase location. You know what I mean?
But I think it's safe from that. Isn't there the exemption for like computers and stuff? I think it's in that exemption.
Today.
Yeah.
They've already talked about pulling that back. Actually, they pulled it back once, and then they reapplied it, and then they pulled it back again.
Yeah. Well, and they did. So here, I'll share the link with you.
I was just saying, when's the release? When's the actual physical release?
June 5th.
Okay, so they might be safe then, because I think it's when the boat hits the water that has the shipment.
Yeah.
So they might actually.
I think it's already here. It could be.
Okay.
But
and pre-orders are the 24th.
Pre-orders are the 24th, and will remain the announced price, $449, or the bundle for $499. And the games are staying the same price, but it's just the accessories that went up. I don't know what they were before, but like the Switch Pro, like a controller is $85. A pair of Joy-Cons is $95.
The big lesson from this is uncertainty is bad for consumers.
Yes.
And markets, because we're sitting here spending all this time trying to figure out, is there going to be a tariff? Is there not? We don't know. Who are you buying it from? How does that work? Did they already order it? Is it on the boat yet? The fact that all those questions into buying a game, that's stupid, and it's bad for the market.
Yes.
Because half of people have tuned out of listening to it, and the other half of people decided it isn't worth the headache of figuring it out. I'm not buying it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
On general products. I know you're very hyped for the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, I am.
I don't know why. It's a system. Being hyped for a system is always weird. Is there a game you want? Is there a thing to do with it that you're excited about?
Yes. Yeah. There are multiple games, and it's a lifestyle change because I work from home and I'm up at my desk a lot. My wife and I have been playing on the couch. We've been playing, we played It Takes Two, and we played some Mario Kart, and just a couple co-op games on the couch. And it's just been so nice and relaxing. I don't know. They've been enjoyable evenings, and the Switch 2 will provide more of those enjoyable evenings.
How will it provide more? Not the same amount.
Because there are games on there that we want to play together that won't be on Switch 1.
So, which games? Again, I go back to the first question. What is it you actually want to do with your Switch 2?
Split Fiction, which is the follow-up game to It Takes Two. The new Mario Kart World.
I didn't know they were making a follow-up to that. That's cool.
It's the same style of game. Mm-hmm. It's not connected. It's just the same studio making another.
That was a very popular concept, so that's cool.
Yeah, this is their third one. A Way Out was their first one with a couple of brothers getting out of jail. And that one, we also love that one. So this will be the third game of theirs that we play. They're some of the best couch co-op games I've ever played. And then the new Donkey Kong looks like, I'm a big sucker for Donkey Kong. My brother and we played every single one growing up. And this one allows you to dig holes and basically destroy the entire level. So it's like if Tommy were to make a Donkey Kong game, this looks like it.
So I have to question you on that. Did you have an Atari when you were a kid?
I did not have an Atari.
So you didn't play every Donkey Kong?
No. John, come on. Every Donkey Kong that came out when I was a kid, we played.
Okay. I played the Atari one, and the Atari was before my time, so that's all I'm saying.
Okay, boomer.
My grandparents had it.
Boomer.
I know.
Boomer.
My grandparents had it in their basement. Whenever we went there, we all ran downstairs to play it, and that was one of the more popular games.
My grandparents had a Windows 95.
Yeah, that's legit. That makes sense.
Yeah. Different time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I played Pong, and that was way before. Like that.
I played Pong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was about to say, well, did you play with the little spin paddles though?
Wait, are you referring to like the arcade Donkey Kong? Because I played that one, like the OG Donkey Kong.
Atari. Do you not know the Atari system? It was like the first.
I know Atari,
console.
yes.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know there was a Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah. Donkey Kong, Pong. I think there's like a Pac-Man, Space Invaders. There's a lot of the stuff you think of as the retro arcade games because they basically just made arcade games out of them.
Oh, yeah, I did. Then I played. Yes, I did. I've played this one. I played this one at arcades, and it was part of a couple of Nintendo like classic collections that Nintendo would put out. So I have played the game, just not on Atari.
On Atari, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just curious because you were like, I've played every one. I was like, were you like obsessive enough to actually go back and play every one? Or no?
We played the old ones, like when the classic collections came out and stuff. We played those. Yeah,
I was thinking you probably had played. Was it Donkey Kong Jr. and on? You know, because that was around that time frame, right? It was Junior.
No, Donkey Kong Country, like on the NES and SNES.
Okay, I don't remember the order of them.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong Country Returns. There's a new HD version that I'm tempted to play, but I played that game so many times, and it's a $60 game. What's the other one? Oh, and Nintendo Donkey Kong 64 was a huge game for my brother and I growing up. We got every banana.
Yeah. That was in my mind when it became like hugely popular. Junior, I guess, was the NES Classic, huh?
Yeah.
And 64 was when it really got crazy.
Yeah,
like
64 is when my brother and I really like were at an age where we could get into games.
It was peak console.
Yeah.
Because that was like GoldenEye.
Yep.
It was like it was peak. Like
there's a new GoldenEye coming out for the Switch too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually true, or is that a rumor?
No, they teased something.
They teased something? Because I heard that there was like a proposal and they shot it down.
This was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, recently. I saw an article or something where someone tried to make that happen. Or maybe it was a remastering.
James Bond origin story game Project 007 officially coming to the Nintendo Switch 2.
But not GoldenEye itself.
No, but it's like a James Bond 007.
Gotcha. Yeah, because GoldenEye, it was like a proposal for a remaster. Like someone that was involved with the original was like, let's remaster it. Everyone has that classic memory of it. They love it, blah, blah. And Nintendo, I think it was Nintendo, basically said no. And I think the general concept was they didn't want to mess with everyone's memory of it. And it would probably be terrible if you re-released it. If it was like a remaster, like cleaner graphics and everything. But like the level design was pretty lame. Like, and this was before 3D controls on joysticks were really figured out, if you recall.
Oh yeah, no, those N64 sticks were bad.
It was bad. It was real bad. I remember looking up was a tricky thing.
You can play GoldenEye on your Switch now. With the online, there's an expansion pack. You can play a bunch of old N64 games, and with the Switch 2, they're doing that with GameCube, which there's a ton of classic GameCube games that I am very nostalgic for and would happily replay. And that's not coming to the Switch one. GameCube, like the original Animal Crossing. Oh, I easily had over 500 hours in the original Animal Crossing. My friend Jake and I, we would go over to each other's houses, and you could like link them up in GameCube, and so you could like go. You had to like to be able to physically visit it because it was before like online.
Yeah.
So there was this whole like expansion slot
Bundle.
thing that you hooked up to the GameCube to be able to connect to visit your friend's house, and it was oh man, yeah. I played a lot of GameCube. So and then that's another thing I can only do on the Switch too. So the
Yeah.
only negative thing I've heard about the Switch 2 is the battery life may not be great, which is sad. But
That is sad.
like on the graphic heavy games, I hear it can be like
Yeah.
2 hours. And it's
Oof.
like,
That's
which is
like
fine
the
if you're
biggest
just
thing
couch
for a
gaming.
portable system.
Yeah, but like if I want to bring it traveling.
Exactly.
So,
that's rough.
but what they did was, and I bet you they'll do a similar thing where they follow the Switch One's timeline, where they come out with the original one, and then they'll come out with a more portable one that doesn't dock, like the Lite, the Switch Lite, and that's the one I actually play the most of because it's the closest to a Game Boy. It has a better battery life, slightly smaller screen, feels better in the hands, and
So you need to
more
wait.
cost effective.
Need to wait.
But then I can't play the couch co-op games.
No, you'll just have to live with your Switch One.
I have two. I have two Switches.
No, I know.
And then they came out with the OLED version, which has the nicer screen. So I bet you they'll come out with an OLED version. I didn't end up getting that one.
They will.
But it has 120 refresh rate screen, which is pretty cool.
So you're going to pay tariffs twice, is what I'm hearing. For
What?
the first one, the first release of the second one, and for the
I may dodge it for
OLED.
I may dodge it for the first one. I won't dodge it for the second one. I bet.
Oh, we don't know.
We don't know. It could just be a thing of the past by then.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of tariffs and economics,
fun.
Let's start with the good news. Interest rates came down. Mortgage rates came down, although I hear they went back up. But I could be wrong on that. Yeah, I don't actually know where they are today because there's a lot of turbulence in the interest markets. The big thing there is everyone's watching Treasury sales to make sure that they sell, because if they don't, that means there's no trust in American debt. There's a couple different major signs around that, which are concerning, including Canada and I believe China are both selling off their treasuries pretty aggressively. Not like crash the market aggressively, but like a regular cadence every month. Which puts pressure on them to perform and basically floods the market, quote unquote. It's a little dramatic, but you get my idea. There's too many of them, and so selling all of them is harder, meaning you need to reissue debt, which happens on a regular basis. It's harder to sell enough to cover the debt, and that is a bad moment. That's what's called the Liz Truss moment, I guess is what everyone calls it these days, because it happened in the UK. They tried to sell the debt, and not enough people bought it, and it suddenly required a very drastic economic restructuring, because that's what happens when people won't buy your debt anymore. They don't trust you to pay it back, and you are in trouble, which would be a very bad thing for the U.S. With our debt, how it is.
Yeah.
Natural gas sales were halted by China, which is another big hit. Basically, they are retaliating, I guess, against the retaliation, whatever, however that went off. Cool. So they stopped buying U.S. natural gas and started buying it from, I think it was Canada, and there's another big producer, maybe Brazil, which is huge because most people don't realize this, but U.S. has become one of the largest producers of refined petroleum products in the last decades, whatever. Since, I don't know if you remember when they used to say energy independence. That was like a talking thing for a long time. Well, we got there, right? We built the infrastructure to be energy independent, and so we started to sell into the global market. But it's no good if your buyers stop buying, which China just did. Huge impact on the energy markets, and it hits places like Texas and probably PA too. I think even California's natural gas. But the idea is that China's like, well, screw you.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you jerk things around, and it's a big international, economic trade partner. Another one on that kind of front is ships, and this one was an interesting one. I knew a little bit about logistics and cargo. I thought it was intriguing to find this out. Something like 80 or 90% of shipping ships, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the ships that ship the shipping containers,
Yep.
um, are Chinese made and have been for about 10 years or something like that. Like they started about 10 years ago and they slowly gained dominance in the market.
Cool.
And if you think about all the stuff that moves around, all these products, the
Yep.
TCG, the Switch, and all that stuff, right? They
Mm-hmm.
move in these shipping containers on these shipping ships. And so China owns most of them. So China gets essentially a fee on everything that moves in across the oceans, which, I think Trump found out about or whatever and decided to take issue with, or decided it was part of the tariff thing that anything shipped for US should be shipped on a US ship, which I get that, like a defensive play or whatever, but we don't have the ships.
Right.
We just don't have that many ships, and I don't even know that we have the ability to build that many ships.
Wonderful.
But we are trying. It's interesting. There's where I work. There's a naval base, like I think it's really a refitting place or something, not that far
Mhm.
away, and you can see the big ships there and all that when you drive by on the highway. And what happens there is, I think they take old parts out of old ships and put them into current ships or things like that. I think it was mostly around the Navy, but it has since become more commercial because shipping. I imagine it's going to get a boom from this. Like, if that's a thing, if he really is and he sticks with it, it's not just something he says one day and it doesn't happen. Like, if he sticks with like American ships for American shipping, like that's going to be a boom of ships being built all over the place, maybe in part of Philadelphia, which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Could be good jobs, I guess. I don't know that we have the skills, but 10 years we might, so that's cool.
I'd rather do that than build iPhones.
Yeah, what was it, the tiny screws? Who said that?
Tiny screws into
Was
iPhone.
Is that like a senator or somebody said
Yeah.
that? It was like, oh my God, what are you thinking? Americans are not going to sit there and try to like put little screws into electronics.
No, my favorite thing is all the AI memes of fat, overweight Americans
my
working in
God.
Chinese factories.
Oh my God. Yeah, those are crazy.
Just makes me die.
That buddy of
inside.
mine that I'm not going to go any deeper than that, but I'm sure you know who
I
I'm
already
talking about.
know.
He thought it was real.
Oh my God, no.
He's like, wow, they're really hammering us. I guess this story is that China's making these up to target us, which I don't know if it's true or not. He thought it was real people.
No.
I'm like,
did you call him a boomer?
I didn't. I left it alone. But he thought it was real. I'm like, you can't tell that's AI. That is really scary.
Yes.
And he's not. He's not a boomer. That's the worst part.
That's why. That's why I said that. That's terrifying.
Old.
That's terrifying, John. Like I knew that was AI the second I saw it. Exactly.
Me too. Oh, it's so scary. Anyways, on to another topic, slightly different.
I don't like
Interesting, though. No, I don't either. Swiss bank accounts are on the rise again. Now, this is an interesting article. I don't know exactly what triggered it, but some reporter was talking to a Swiss bank rep. Basically, there's a rise of Americans opening Swiss bank accounts essentially to, I guess, de-risk against something happening in the U.S. Now, it sounds terrible if you want to like catastrophize it and be like, oh my God, Americans are fleeing the financial system here because they're afraid of a apocalypse or whatever, right? You can make it dramatic if you want, which is what the headline did, right? But in reality, it's interesting. He said this happened heavily once during Obama. So, okay, I guess they thought, like a bunch of rich people thought Obama was a socialist and he was going to take all their money. It happened again during COVID. Okay, world's ending apocalypse of zombie viruses, right? And then now, so tariffs. So, considering those three examples, I really don't take it as that big of a thing. But I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, like what wealthy people do when they start to panic. And that is,
well, is it the government taking money out of your bank accounts?
Probably, yeah. It's exactly like they're worried about the stability of the U.S. economic system. Like, okay, say there is a Liz Truss moment, right? Our debt doesn't get dealt with properly. They could do all sorts of things. You look at some of the stuff they're doing with the Doge and IRS and the ACH account access and all that stuff. Yeah, they could theoretically come in and take everyone's money. I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways you could look at it if you wanted to like really make up a narrative to scare people, which obviously is what media likes to do because that gets clicks and ads and all that stuff. but in realistic terms, it's just a de-risking. Like
Yeah.
it's like, all right, this is the thing most people don't know, but if you have $250 in a bank account, you should get a second bank account because they're only insured up to $250,000.
Yeah, 250,000, not 250.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
250K. Yeah. Most multimillionaires, this lower level ones, like up to 10 million, don't realize that and keep it in one account.
Yeah.
Most more than multimillionaires do realize that and spread it across a ton of different things, including other assets, which is part of the reason why they don't put it in single things. They put it in stocks and they end up sloshing all this money around into things that are active like TCGs, etc.
Yeah.
Because it's to de-risk it by basically defraying the risk across a bunch of different channels.
Hey,
So,
my cards
doing
are my best performing asset this year.
Don't think that's true for me.
It is for me.
I'd have to look. It's hard to say. It might be close because I still have a bunch of the collector boxes, and those have done really well this year. Since January, though?
Since January.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'd have to look.
Year to date. I just did it. I just did it for our stuff, and it's cards by far.
So I have gold, and I have some basically equities that are positioned to take advantage of a downturn. And since January, I don't know. I'd have to look. That's the problem because I got them before January, so I'm not sure. Since January, they may all be down. You might be right. It might be cards because my collector boosters.
I just found it funny. I don't think it'll end the year that way, but right now.
Yeah, no, but it's curious. Like that's why you do these things. That's part of the reasoning around it is by spreading your money into a bunch of different things. When things go up and other things go down, you're about neutral. Right?
And some of it's just it hasn't moved since January, but it didn't go down,
which is winning.
Yeah, which is winning. So
yeah. So yeah, that's it for economic news. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, some weird stuff. I just thought the Swiss bank account thing was funny.
Yeah.
Obama got in office, so a bunch of rich people put their money in. I'm like, really, guys? All right, whatever.
Don't worry, there's no racism in America.
That's socialist. No, I mean that means they really bought into he's a socialist narrative, which I'm sure was spread around that time.
Yeah. Yeah. But cool.
Spoiler alert. He wasn't a socialist.
Spoiler. I think we're well past the time for spoilers of that time period.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, if the world's still spinning next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.